In the last session, perhaps we understood that mind is like a highway which has three tracks, or the lane number one is just unwanted, unwelcome thought enters into that mind. And we don't have any control over it. Lane number two, where you listen to me as a teacher just for an hour, but you all are teachers. So that knowledge is placed on the lane number two. And that knowledge is realized in the lane number three. So when you forget the lane number two and three, then you are always in stress and in suffering. That is the problem. That is the problem. That is the problem.
Hello?
That is the problem. Now, let me take you to the journey of the lane number one and the two. A simple question I ask you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you now. So
Yes. Yeah. So let us, does anyone say for example, the Sophie
I
comes,
can't hear Girish.
so Sophie comes to you and let her open the mobile phone and connect with the mobile phone, and so that she can listen. I muted her otherwise. So, what is the question? Charlie comes to you and says you.
I can't. Okay, I'll listen to the phone. Oh, thank you.
So Charlie comes to you and she says that please start thinking bad about me. When I go tomorrow, when I come to you tomorrow, be angry over me. Does that happen anytime? Does that happen anytime? It never happens. We never say to anyone that you think bad about me, please react to me when I meet you next time, be angry over me. Say bad words against me. Does anyone say it? The answer is no. Then why my mind thinks about it? If you do not think and reflect in this way, nothing is going to happen. You have to think in this way. So then where is the why I think bad about anyone, why I get angry, why I react? It belongs to my mind. It belongs to my mind. It means I'm responsible. And if I'm responsible, then why don't I change? Why don't I change? Why don't I change? So the master says what the master Buddha, just see the teachings of the Buddha. Buddha says, do not believe in anything simply because you have heard it. Buddha says, do not believe in anything simply because it is spoken by many people. Do not believe in anything simply because it is found written in your books. Do not believe in anything because authority of your teachers and elders. Do not believe in the tradition because they have been handed down for many generations. So what should we do? We should contemplate, we should think. Even in the Eastern wisdom, you listen to it and then you sit down, you start thinking, okay, let me have this knowledge I received, let me start thinking about it, and the belief pending inquiry is the way of the Eastern wisdom. We get easily carried away by thought, by feeling, and then the mind goes on creating these feelings of badness, feelings of reaction, feelings of anger, feelings of hesitation. Are you clear about it? I started the journey that if anyone until today of your life has come to you and told you that please start thinking bad about me, be angry over me, be upset with me, including your honey. But we have done it. We have not done once, but we have done millions of times. It has become our habit, it has become our personality, it has become our behavior, it has become our attitude. We don't want to change that attitude because it has created such a deep impression in my mind. I have taken for granted that you are bad. And that creates more problem to my life than to the others. So Buddha says, belief pending inquiry. I will inquire, I will find out whether it is true or not. If we do not find out, I do not analyze, I do not contemplate and reflect, I do not apply the knowledge, nothing, no change will happen. Our great master, Krishna, and another master, you can take Buddha and all the masters, they speak of the same principles: belief, pending inquiry. So normally say, I follow Buddha, I follow this guy, I follow that teacher. It will not work. We should not be a blind follower. We should ask this question to our own mind, that why I'm upset with a person, with a situation, with a local, with a time, with an event outside in the world. There is no reason, and still I get upset. Nobody told me to get upset, but I get upset. That is the meaning. I'm living unconsciously, I'm living habitually, and I will continue to live habitually like this. There is no chance. There is no chance of the change. These lessons, if you listen to it again, to tell you, I heard one talk. I have all the audio talks of my masters. So one talk I did not understand. So I told my mind, okay, you did not understand, so I will listen 10 times, 10 hours. And ultimately I got the clue. I got it. Your mind has to decide where you want to go. And if the mind is not changing, so what is that? What we have been discussed until now means what? The truth is important. The truth of who am I is the most important. It is not, it is universal, not limited by age, sex, gender, time, place, event, history. Forget all everything. find out that truth which cannot be falsified. That is who we are. And that is what we say, which cannot be falsified is the pure consciousness, is the real self of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. That is what the Eastern wisdom says to us, inspires us to find the truth. You follow the path, start believing, but belief should be pending the inquiry. Don't get carried away by any other false notion except the truth. And that is where we reach to the real self. So the teacher teaches, it invokes the principles, it explains it, but then I have to contemplate and reflect on it. If I do not contemplate and reflect, I told you, lane number one will continue to have unwanted, unwelcome thoughts, which will cause you tremendous amount of stress, anxiety, duality, conflict. I need not to change it, I need not to suppress it, I need not to force. I have to switch on to the lane number two. Let me have this knowledge first. So, by contemplation and reflection, if you become clear, lane number one will be weakened so much so that it will not create any sense of stress and suffering. So, we are not talking of the suppression, we are not talking of the control, we are not talking of uh, how to control the wandering mind. I move to the lane number two. So, why the truth is important? Because it makes me free from the ignorance, delusion, misunderstanding. And I have told you the one misunderstanding. No one tells you to think bad about me, but I think bad about you. And we keep on doing it. So, when the pressure of those impressions in the lane number two goes beyond the limit, what is the result? Divorce. And what should be done? Not divorce an individual, divorce your mind. But I'm not ready for it. I don't want to agree. Why I don't want to agree? The lane number one is so deep, it has such an indelible impression in my life that I don't want to change. Are you getting it? I believe that even listening to this, your mind has become lighter and relaxed. Oh, yes, yes, yes. If you say yes. If you say no, how can you say, how dare you say, the others are so bad? I know it happens. It happens to them. So, truth is important because it never changes. It remains as it is in time, in place, in locations, in relations. It is an unchanging reality. It is all pervading. That is what we want to find out. Knowledge will remain knowledge. I know she is Sophie. Anne knows she is Sophie. Charlie knows she is Sophie. John knows she is Sophie. Mead knows she is Sophie. That's a knowledge. Knowledge will not never change. But we superimpose over that knowledge without understanding. Then she is bad or good, and she's good, long list, which is not required. Another thing that we should understand, Eastern wisdom is a search for that real self, or that truth which is existence, cannot be falsified, cannot be destroyed. When our mind starts working, contemplating, and reflecting, okay, my mind is saying he or she is bad or she is bad. I become angry, I get upset. No, I have to find out what is the truth that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be falsified. Your mind will calm down. You need not to stop the wandering mind. The wandering mind will stop by itself. Our way of thinking, the pattern we have been thinking is heavily conditioned by the culture, by the society, by the relations, and that needs to change. What we say about the Eastern wisdom, who wrote, when these principles are written, where it is written does not matter. Whether it is written in the Himalayas or whether it is written in US or in India, it does not matter at all. Who wrote it, it does not matter. It says you have to find out the truth that never changes, that cannot be falsified. By the chance, India became a land, and for the last 6,000 years they have found that understanding. Another point, that those who have realized the real self, their expressions may be different, but the principles are the same. Absolute truth is real self. Real self is pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. In one or the other way, everyone, every teacher talks about the same thing. So last time when we did the practice, we understood the three lanes of the highways of the mind. We need not to worry about the lane number 1. Unwanted, unwelcome thought comes. We have to pay attention to the lane number 2, where the knowledge is placed. You don't worry about the darkness. You are more concerned, where is the switch? Let me switch on. You need not to worry how bad is my honey or anyone's, for the sake of understanding. I have to switch on. I need not to even think how bad or good is my honey. Darkness, you enter into your home in the night and you know where is the switch. You switch on. That is the lane number 2. We forget it. And then what happens? The moment you stick to the lane number 2, lane number 3 is the realized state in the mind. That real self is reflected in the mind, and you find, yes, that is how the master explains. How the master explains, one master, having understood this ideas, this knowledge, one master says, Manohi devidham proktam shuddham cha ashuddham eva cha. Mind is of 2 types, pure and the impure. So you can easily make out the impure mind makes unnecessary claims. You are bad, you are good, you are right, you are wrong. Nobody declared that. So that is the impure mind. So why we say impure mind? So that our mind can easily understand this impure mind is not required in my life. I should not think, speak, and act out of the impure mind. For the sake of understanding. And the pure mind, how the pure mind is attained? By knowledge, by understanding, followed by the practice. By the practice. Ashuddham kama sankalpam, shuddham kama vivarjitam. Ashuddham. So how the mind becomes impure? Go back to the lane number 1. Your mind has declared this beer guy is bad or good, even bad or good. You give a label, adjective. Black sweater. Sweater has a name in the shape. Does the black has a shape name? Shape? The black, no color has a shape. Having understood this adjective, ashuddham kama sankalpam, I first relate myself to you based on likes and dislikes, then I create a thinking that you are bad or good. First, I create an emotional baggage, then only you are honey or you are not. But after creating that emotional baggage, I create a preferences of likes and dislikes, and that likes and dislikes continues and it makes the mind impure. This is what the master is saying. What master is saying? Ashuddham kama sankalpam. I project. My mind says I like you, then I project all the thoughts and ideas and action pertaining to the likes. So all those thoughts and ideas projects a happiness with you because like is already present in the mind. Dislike is present in the mind, opposite projection. That makes the mind impure. The impure mind contains the anxiety, duality, conflict, delusion, reaction, anger, upset, stress, all kinds of mental and emotional disorders. So we start living with that ideas and the thoughts with the wrong notion, and then what is the result? The result is suffering. Then it is easy to blame others. I am suffering because of you. No one is responsible for my stress and suffering except my own mind, because my own mind, no one. When your mind is saturated, clear, that no one in the world outside is responsible for my stress and suffering, you are a seeker of Eastern wisdom. Until then, your mind will swing like a pendulum. 1 week, 1 hour in a session, you will say, yes, I have understood. After the session, the mind says, why, honey, why you disturb me? I was attending a lesson. So you started blaming others. I told you before also. No one tells you, please. Next day you say how bad I am, react to me, become angry. Who says? My mind says. No one says. Even the mosquito. Forget about others. But we start thinking in that way. So, unless and until the mind says no one is responsible for my stress and suffering, including grief and etc., delusion, anxiety, reaction, mind is 100% clear, you are a seeker and you will definitely succeed. So, in this journey, I am skipping how to become a seeker. We will continue our journey with what this teacher teaches. So I picked up the Gita again. So close your eyes. Let us start our practice. Eyes are closed. Position of the body. You see, where I am giving you the instruction, that is nothing but the knowledge. The thought is a product of knowledge. So when I say close your eyes, that is one piece of knowledge. You follow it. That is lane number 2. So what to do with the lane number 1? Do nothing. Let it continue to have unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. Don't worry about it. Don't participate into it. Position of the body is comfortable. The moment you change the position of the body, it is the lane number 1 changes the position. Once you are comfortable, why to change? Eyes are closed. And now being comfortable. Now pay attention. Every phrase and instruction is the lane number 2. I'm not there. Think, just know that I'm absent. Lane number 2 is the instructions. Mind moves to the neck joint, knowledge, by awareness. It then experiences sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Lane number 3. Just pay attention. You are now, your mind follows the knowledge, or mind follows the lane number 1, is your choice. That I do not have any control. No one has a control in the world. Whether you think good of me or you think bad of me, no one. Move the mind on the shoulder joints, be there. Feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Do you see? All the 3 lanes are, you are aware of it. Hip joint, be there. Knowledge. Sensation, comfort, and steadiness is your experience. Even though you experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness, you still have the lane number 1. You don't worry about it. So again we go little deeper to make this mind aware of the knowledge by the mantra. So mentally you say Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Meaning, let everyone be happy. So now the lane number 2, where the knowledge is being understood, that the happiness is our essential nature of everyone, of every living species on the earth. All their action, movement, judgment aims at happiness. Lane number 1 aims at more conflict, more stress, more suffering. What are you doing with the lane number 1? You're doing nothing. Let them come. You continue to come. I will continue my journey. Sarve Santu Niramaya. We are replacing. I will tell you. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Meaning, let everyone be in the state of well-being. Everyone is seeking the state of the well-being. Now, how you change the mind? Or I mean to say, how you stick to the lane number 2? That everyone is seeking the state of well-being or happiness. Because I am on the path of the Eastern wisdom, my approach must be different. My approach of peace and happiness should not be directed by the lane number one. Then what happens to? You're always calm. You're not angry, you're not upset, you're not reacting. See that? It is not a big deal. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu means let everyone be blessed. The blessing and the grace should fall upon each and every one. The lane number 2 is pushing you, no, accept this one. And lane number 2 says, no, grace and the blessing should fall upon each and every one. The more the knowledge is clear, the lane number 2, you are going to weaken it. And it will put you into the state of the calmness. By understanding, by contemplation. Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhaved. Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhaved. Let none suffer from misery in this world. Let none suffer from any suffering. Why, that is what we have understood today. No one says that you blame me, you complain against me, you react to me, you fight with me, you become a... No one says. Now apply this. Everyone should be free from the suffering. That mind is ready to be a seeker. The seeker never fails. We are still in the lane number 2. So when you are still in the lane number 2, what happens? You are aware of sensation, comfort and steadiness in the body. You are also aware of the lane number 1 and 2 and 3. How do you know that? You are able to maintain your sensation, comfort and steadiness. It's a lane number 3. And the 2 is constantly aware of it. The 2 is also aware of the lane number 1. Unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are there. So what we say, look at the breath. Look at the breath. That is the knowledge. Are you looking at the breath? Are you aware of it? Do you know the breath goes in and comes out? In and out? Yes, the breath goes in and out. Yes, I see that. So keep on looking, keep on seeing the breath going in and out. No change. So we say no change. And you feel the sensation. So what it means, if there is a change, the lane number 2 interferes. Lane number 2 is purely knowledge. It has no action at all. You are looking at the breath and you know the breath is going in and out. So moment the breath goes in and before it comes out, the lane number 1 interferes. There is no interference. Both lanes are independent. But because I feel it, why I feel it? Because I start thinking like this. But why I start thinking? It is habit, instinctive and impulsive nature. My mind has made it clear that this is the way I think and that is right. So what should we do? Just return again to the breath that is going in and out. You feel the sensation of the breath. So every time you the knowledge, no sensation. When I say feel the sensation of the breath, that is also a knowledge. You know the breath is going in and out. In between there is some interference, you feel. It means lane number one overpowers that knowledge and understanding. Overpowers means by forgetfulness, ignorance, misunderstanding, wrong ideas. In order to remain on the lane number two means the knowledge you drop when the breath goes in, you drop the in one. You're counting the breath. When the breath comes out, out one. So just dropping means in a fraction of a second you recognize. You recognize, you means the mind. Recognize in one, out one, in two, out two. Go on counting the breath and check if the counting is sometime what will happen, the counting stops because of lane number one. You forget because of lane number one. You enter into fancies. Why? Lane number one. So you are simply separating. The moment you separate, you are free. Go on counting the breath. Here, just counting the breath. You know the breath is there. You know the breath is moving. You know it is going in. So you count in one. Your breath coming out, out one. Why we are counting? To recognize that I continue to remain aware even if the unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are there and you are aware of them. So, aware of them does not mean that you get carried away. You are weakening that impact of the impure mind. How long it takes depends on you. Yeah, stop the counting and return again only to the awareness of the breath. What is awareness of the breath? You know the breath is going in and out, there is no change, and you feel the sensation of the breath. It is very clear, it should be very clear to you that if the lane number 1 interferes, you have to simply switch on to the lane number 2 without any reaction or anger or hesitation. Oh, I forgot. Let me recall what I'm doing. No, I'm not doing anything. I simply know the breath is going in and out. I feel the sensation of the breath, and then no change. Now leave that. Look at the head and the neck. This is the knowledge. You are looking. You are aware. And what is your experience? Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. This is lane number 3. Good and bad experiences both are present in the mind. Knowledge we get through the same mind. Mind moves on the right arm means you know the right arm. From the shoulder to the fingertips, no action is required. Experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Mind knows the left arm. If I say so, nose means you are aware. Yeah, it goes there. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Highway of the mind. 3 lanes are there. They are independent, they are interconnected. The mind knows the chest and the belly in the front. You are there, you experience sensation. That is the knowledge plus experience. Relaxation and stillness. Right leg, sensation, relaxation and stillness. Left leg, sensation, relaxation and stillness. The entire body. You simply know your entire body, you are aware of it. You're not doing anything, and you experience the sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Now, when I say now do nothing, you're not doing anything, but lane number one will continue to have thoughts, feeling, images, let it have. You are not doing anything. Lane number two knows, it means you have a knowledge that you are not doing anything. So, what happens? You separate lane one by knowledge. The moment you separate, you weaken the impurity. Result is mindfulness. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. Very good. How are you, Sophie?
I'm very good. Thank you, Girish. I had very good meditation.
Very good meditation. Very good. Listen to it again and again. How are you, Charlie?
I'm well. I felt like I was present, but I started to slip away. I was watching, but I was getting further and further and further away.
Yeah, further away in the state of almost kind of an emptiness. That is good. But if we get carried away by the lane number one, I think you all are clear. Then we have Lot of challenges. Wonderful. So, how are you, Anne? And then we will go to meet.
Yeah, I feel very good. Calm, calm and relaxed. Except at the end, I drifted off all of a sudden.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
it
was
happens. We drift, but lane number two says, I know you drifted, so you come back.
right.
But the lane number two says, no, I don't know what is happening to me, so you are already in the lane number one. Knowing, awareness, experience, whatever you say, that is how the Eastern wisdom starts. So, how are you, me?
What I did was I went to one of your other meditations.
Very good.
In doing that, I discovered that my sound was off, and I didn't know it. So I got it turned back on, and then I finished and came back with you. Thank you.
Lane number one. That is what happens. The lane number one not only does these smaller issues which we are not aware and we get carried away. It belongs to the computer. It did not belong to any living person. And if it belonged to some living person, then the mind keeps on thinking how bad, how good, and how you see that how easy it is to know it. And to know it means I keep that knowledge all the time. As long as you are in the house, you know 100% that you are in the house. So I know that I am in the lane number two, come what may. And if you do it, you are there. No problem, I'm going to send you these today. So from the new year, we have started a new journey about the mind. Perhaps you might have heard and did the practice where we discussed that it's like we all have big highways here and we have different lanes. Same way that metaphor really fits into understanding the nature of the mind. So we have a mental highway and we have three lanes. So the lane number one or track number one invites unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. How do I know the lane number one? You are sitting alone and you have a bunch of thoughts, unnecessary, unwanted, about people, about the world, about life, about stress, about unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. So that is the lane number one. And the lane number two, where you are listening to me and putting the knowledge there. And the lane number three is the realization. What is realization? Knowledge is realized. A majority of the time, this knowledge is realized. Can I give you an example? Yes. Where are you sitting? At my home. You don't need a thought. You don't need to think that you are sitting at your home and listening to it. Are you paying attention? Yes. You see, knowledge is realized. So when we are clear, what we are clear, when we are 100% clear means the knowledge is realized. What knowledge is realized? Peace and happiness in the lane 3. Knowledge is realized. Peace and happiness is the knowledge number knowledge in the lane number 3. Then will you attend my sessions? No. Well, then I'm already in peace. I'm already in happiness. Now the next question comes, how many things you have realized? You are married or single, you realized. And a long list. Don't tell me how much bank account you have, how much money you have. You know it. You know it. Where is your house? You know it. But do you know what is the real self? Who am I? So when we answer, who am I? You got bunch of thoughts from the lane number 1. I'm already having a lot of stress, my life is blah, blah, blah. So that is what we discussed before, that lane number 1, uninvited, unwelcome thoughts. And I ask you that same question. You have to think over it again and again whenever you are surrounded by anxiety, stress, duality, and conflict. First thing you have to ask, who sent me the SMS or email or who called me that I should be stressed, angry, upset, reactive to a particular situation, to a particular person? No one sends me the message. And still I get upset. As if I have a birthright. How many of you have a birthright to get upset? We don't think about it. Because the very thinking helps us to understand whether I am worthy of suffering or not. We just get carried away. You have a sense of anxiety or reaction. You say this guy is bad and you reacted it, and then we get upset. This is the function of the lane number 1 in our day-to-day life. We don't have a time to think. That is why I told you the Buddha warned. Everyone says this is mindfulness from the Buddha. But Buddha says first understand, then we will practice meditation. So Buddha and many other masters, almost all the masters, says, don't blindly believe what I say. Buddha says about himself, don't believe me because others convince you of my words. Don't believe anything you see, read, or hear from others, whether of authority, religious teachers, or the text. What is the pointer? No blind belief. We have a blind belief about ourselves. You have a blind belief when you say that you are in stress. You are not worthy of suffering. No human being is worthy of suffering. But we claim blindly. Lane number 1. I made it little easy to recognize lane number 1. So what I should do, I should put the knowledge in the lane number 2. How? By listening and learning from the teacher. Until what time? Millions of times. Only 1 million times. And once we put the knowledge, we are separating ourselves from the lane number 1. You keep on driving on the lane number 2 in your life all the time. What is lane number 2? No blind belief. I have to start thinking. My honey is crazy, Everyone's honey is crazy. Let them remain crazy. For example, honey or your friend does not send you the message that whenever I meet you, the moment you start thinking about me, you you react. You also become crazy. We don't get that message and still we become. That is why the Buddha says no, no blind belief. You have to think, you have to analyze, you have to ask a question when you are guided, when you experience the stress, suffering, anxiety, duality, conflict, any negative thought. Now let me find out first. So Buddha says, no, I have told you, I'm teaching you, I'm guiding you, but sit down and think about your life. That who am I? What is the goal of my life? Why he says this? Truth is important. Knowledge does not change. I gave you one example. We all recognize Charlie as a Charlie. No, this is knowledge. Are you getting it? So simple. No, none of us amongst us recognize Charlie by a different name. Simple. So knowledge does not change. And why the knowledge of the truth does not change? The knowledge of the truth cannot be falsified. So our master says, our essential nature is permanent peace and happiness. That is the discovery of Eastern wisdom. We have to follow the path, we have to realize that knowledge. That is where, you see in science, you have to be very clear understanding. I told you 120 years ago, I'm not criticizing science, but the approach of the science is different. 120 years ago, scientists told us that the world outside is the material world, it is made up of the matter, and the matter consists of atoms and molecules. So the science progressive in a relative field, their truth, what the truth was 120 years, it changed. 20 years passed and they said this atom consists of electron, proton and neutron. Another 20 years, 30 years, it changed again. It says no, this electron, proton and neutron are particles, but they also behave like wave. So in science, we say it is a progress in science. What is the progress in science? 120 years ago, the matter did not consist of electron, proton and neutron. It did not consist of waves. Are you getting it, what I'm saying? It still consists of the waves. So what was the problem? Why the scientists did not find 120 years ago? Can you make out? Error in perception. Scientists have corrected that error. That not only they consist of atoms and molecules, electron, proton and neutron, they behave like a wave, they are also an energy. And Einstein discovered matter converts into energy and energy converts into the matter around 50 years ago. So what is the point? Point here is scientific progress is based on removing the error in perception, error in the knowledge. So can I say that 120 years ago the scientists have a wrong perception that this matter consists of only atoms and molecules? The answer is yes. So what the Eastern wisdom does? Eastern wisdom says, first remove the wrong notions from the mind and you become a seeker, then only you can find the real self. We don't want to give any chance. We don't want to give any chance to the mind that if you continue moving on the lane number 1, you will perceive wrongly. You will have a wrong perception. So it is better to take care of the mind first. Let the mind be clear. What is not clear? Mind is impure. Mind is impure. Why it is impure? Now you see how the Buddha and other master answers. Why the mind is pure? The current state of the mind is impure because I feel others are responsible for my suffering. That is the impurity. But why I feel that others are suffering? What is impurity? Impurity means I have a desire of seeking peace and happiness from the world outside. What is the world? World of people, of place, of situation. And this is delusion. So I have to understand how the mind works in delusion, how the mind works in attachment, how the mind works in likes and dislikes. And then it gets agitated. Nobody sends me the message. See the logic and understanding and clarity. I am seeking peace and happiness from the others. The Master says that peace and happiness is within me, here and now. Because I do not move to the lane number 2, I made it clear. I continue to get carried away by the lane number 1, which has unwanted, uninvited thoughts, that has an element of delusion, attachment, and detachment that causes the stress and suffering. If I don't move to the lane number 1, I am not worthy of suffering. My friends, we have to think. So when you are thinking lane number 1 to you move to the lane number 2, you are separating it. We already know, we all drive. So sometimes you drive in the lane number 2, sometime on the different lane. So they are independent on the mental highways and they are interconnected also. If you get carried away by the lane number 1, you'll have a problem. So what is this? In my head, I separate the lane number 1 from the lane number 2. The moment you have a separation, that power of separation by the intellect through the thinking and reflecting is known as the power of discernment. Why I said power of discernment? Because the very first qualification to become a seeker is to use the power of discernment. Buddha says, no, don't believe me. Don't believe me, don't trust me because I said it. Because you have read about me, you have heard about me from the others until you think about yourself. This is the power of discernment. We don't want to make a mistake, which the scientists make a mistake, correcting the error of perception. We want to be 100% clear that this mind has to be pure completely. It should act like a transparent mirror. The moment you stand in front of a mirror and the mirror is clean, it shows you your image. It doesn't show you anybody's image. The same way. So the first quality, I told you, the power of discernment. And then our mind remained focused on, who am I? So at present, whatever I know about myself, I have to examine whether that is true or not. I give you a simple example. The science says that I am a man. Do you see I am a man? So I am 51% man and 49% I have a characteristics at the physical, mental, emotional level of a woman. Only 1% difference is there. So we have 4 women here. They have 50%, 51% feminine. 49% is the man characteristics. I'm not saying science says this. In terms of your DNA structure and condition. That brings the changes in the shape and the form. And then we go on talking, I'm a self-made man. Sometimes women also say that I'm self-made woman, self-made. Bring the material that made your body, then you can claim that you are a self-made man. Did you create your own body? So our logical thinking, the moment you think you separate lane number 1 and the 2, the moment you separate, you have a clarity. Oh, these are the notions I have been carrying for so long, that the world is responsible for my stress and suffering. I become very clear about it. So the clarity in the mind removes the confusion and the delusion, and the mind becomes a qualified seeker. When we say that we have to become a qualified seeker, it means the mind has to be a qualified seeker. Look at the way this Eastern wisdom works. It doesn't say believe. No need to believe. You have to follow the path of the knowledge. That is why the master says, Mane manusyanam karanam bandhamokshayo bandhai vishaya sakta muktai nirvishayam mana. And before that, it says that mind, from where I got this idea of a metaphor of lane 1, 2 and 3, there is a verse. It says, Manohi dividham proktam. Manohi dividham proktam, shuddham cha, shuddhamev cha, shuddham kama sankalpam, shuddham kama vivarjitam. So that verse says mind is of two types, impure and pure. Then it defines in the another line, the mind becomes pure when it desires for peace and happiness from someone else in the world outside. Why? Because with that desire I project peace and happiness. What is projection? I superimpose. I will get married. That will bring happiness in me. Is any married couple happy? No, I'm just joking. Now, is any single happy? Come on. Single is also expecting something more. Marriage is not a solution to be happy. And then we talk my married life. There is no happiness, whether to be single or to get married. Why? It is outer situation. Peace and happiness are located within me. Then you don't expect peace and happiness from your partner. But you first discover peace and happiness and you start expressing peace and happiness, whether your partner agrees or doesn't agree. Doesn't agree, you are still happy. He or she agrees, you are still happy. Are you getting it? So that kind of independence, that kind of a freedom, our masters are teaching and guiding. That is you can say that is the way the mindfulness works. You have to hammer your mind again and again. Then only we can realize, why that awakening is too far, because I don't purify my mind. I said, okay, my mind is already pure, I have little bit problem with others. No, there should not be any problem from any situation, any person, any relations in your life. Mind says, I'm calm. No situation can affect me. And the master gives those tools. So mind is impure because of the desire and the projection. Projection. So when there is a projection, what I project happiness in my partner, in my dream, and then I see, what a life being single, so let us get married. So that projection to secure happiness in the others, it starts the struggle from the day one. That is the thought coming from the lane number 1. You're going to start fight with my partner. No, I'm not going to start, a fight with your partner. I'm just telling you the fact. This is the fact. But it also doesn't mean that we should not marry. I'm not going there. Projection is the problem. One more thing and then we will do the practice. Does animal mind also project peace and happiness in others? Think of it. No, because their mind is controlled by the nature. Their mind has only the 4 basic instincts of security, of reproduction. Don't say sexual pleasure. Don't say sex. It's only meant for reproduction. Are you clear? Are you not clear? So if you say they are for the pleasure, then
The chimpanzee use sex to bond the group.
yeah, they are associated because of this security. Because of this security, their instinct helps us to remain in a group. So that comes with the security in a herd and the group. But other instinct is the reproduction, third is the food, and the fourth is the sleep. They cannot have a power of discernment because they are controlled by the nature. We have a power of discernment. So animal mind, again I am comparing. Animal mind, lane number 1. Why lane number 1? And then we will go think of it at why lane number 1. Animal mind. I can think. I will give you another thought before I conclude this topic, and then we will have our session, practical session. Animal mind cannot think of it, and you contemplate and reflect and find out if it is really true or not. Because only the human being amongst all the living species can receive the knowledge and retain the knowledge. And they can bring about a change by receiving and retaining the knowledge and applying that knowledge. I was just watching the Discovery Channel day before yesterday, and they said that in the Indian Ocean, in the spring season perhaps, millions of female turtle, they go on the sand and they lay about 150 eggs. and then they go into an ocean, they forget. They don't wait for the eggs to break up and become the babies. And out of 150, only 1% or 2% remain alive. Then what happens? When the babies come, they break the egg shell and they make a noise. Instinctual. It is instinctual. They make a noise so that the other babies are also ready to break the egg, and then they go together into an ocean. So that very learning is instinctive, habitual, mechanical. We can learn and listen consciously. We can receive the knowledge. We can use this knowledge that here are the two options, confusion or peace. I can choose that option. They are doing it mechanically because we can do it consciously so that we can have a greater realization of what the life is. Let us close your eyes and we will start with the practice. Eyes are closed and position of the body, whatever the best position of the body, and check that. Are you comfortable? Can you move in? You are settled in the comfort. How do I know? I know by my intellect. But how I can have an experience of the comfort at the conscious level now, which I was not at all aware before. I was not at all aware before. It was an animal mind. Now it is an intellect. I know consciously. You see that I can receive the knowledge and retain the knowledge. Unless we clearly understand these points, this mindfulness becomes a joke. 1 minute meditation, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Be carefree and being comfortable. We will go together with these two steps. So look at the head and the neck. Are you clear? It's the lane number 2. I believe it is clear. So when I say look at the neck joint, it is you are applying the knowledge, you're living with that knowledge, you are aware of the neck joint. But at the same time, the lane number 1 has a lot of thoughts. Let it be there. Don't you see the lane number 1 and 2 are independent? Let it come, let it go. Don't worry about it. When you have that power of awareness, of discernment, mindfulness will succeed every time. Now you know why it doesn't succeed. So looking at the neck joint being there, feel and experience sensation, comfort and steadiness. You are not finishing, destroying the lane number 1. You are not participating in that lane. That is what I am saying. Lane number 1, there is a noise coming from outside. The lane number 1 overpowers you. Move the mind on the shoulder joints, being there. Feel the sensation, comfort and steadiness. The entire body. You look at the body, you are aware of the body, you feel the body. Can I guide these instructions to any living species? Answer is no. That is our specialty, that is our faculty. We are not using it. Why we are not using it? Lane number 1 overpowers me. Then I blame and complain. I had a lot of the thoughts during the practice of meditation. That's why I'm not succeeding. And I am simply saying, let it be. Let there be. You continue with the knowledge. Instructions by the teacher is nothing but the knowledge. I am a catalyst. That discernment only you can do it. So the being carefree simply means that lane number one will continue to have the thoughts at the subconscious level, at the conscious level, associated with the feeling and emotion of anxiety. Let it be. Only one thing, you are in a lane number two. Finished. And then you see that no one can break your comfort in being carefree. And then I added another part into it. So lane number two, we strengthen the lane number two. How? By the mantra. It has nothing to do with a cult in dogma and a belief. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. You say in your mind. Why? I want you to trigger your brain because you are learning something new. The words and the phrases and the sound. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. And then think of it. The moment you start thinking, you move to the lane number two. What it means, let everyone be happy. No, but you have to think little more. Oh, why let everyone be happy? Because happiness is their nature. And we have a clear understanding. There is no living species in the planet or the universe who does not want peace. From the mosquito to elephant to the tiger, they are not even conscious because it is inbuilt. It is their essential nature. So it is my essential nature also. Lane number one does not prevents you to believe this. Lane number 1, 2, 3, all three are present in your mind. It is your mind. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve santu niramaya. 3 times. Sarve santu niramaya. Let everyone be healthy. Who doesn't want the state of the well-being? Who does not? Consciously, unconsciously, animals, plants also. Why? Because that well-being is the nature of the real self. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Meaning, let everyone be blessed. Did I born myself? No. I was born before I knew how I will be born? Answer is no. So there is a blessing, there is a grace that we are born as a human being to receive and retain the knowledge, to apply the knowledge to find our real self. And that is the greatest blessing and the grace. We don't realize it. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhave. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhave. Ma kaschid dukha bhag. Let none suffer from misery in this world. So when I think in this, I move to the lane number 2 from the lane number 1. Otherwise, what happens? I have a lot of suffering. What should I do? I react. I keep on thinking about the anger, hesitation, reaction. Nobody sends you the message and still I'm thinking. So that is why this mantra is evolved. Not one mantra, many mantras have been discovered, validated. Oh, it is because of this reason. So now you see, you will find a sense of relaxation and a calmness because I am seeking that peace and that well-being and that happiness which is within me all the time. You are thinking, it means you are in a lane number 2. Lane number 1 constantly push me, no, it is outside. I am affected by the outside situation, people, things. It is a self-discovery, it is not others' discovery. Others outside, self inside. So because of this, Buddha says it is better in the state of sensation, comfort and steadiness. Let your mind be engaged in the lane number 2. That will produce the result on its own. You need not to worry about the result. So there are many ways of look at the breath. So when you look at the breath, what it means, you know the breath is going in and out. Do you know it? Check it. What do you mean by knowing it? You are aware of the breath going in and out. Thoughts are still coming in the lane number 1 when you are in the lane number 2. But if your mind deliberately wants to make an accident, then who is responsible? I'm just making it clear. Let these thoughts continue to come. You are not participating in them, you are participating in the lane number 2. You know the breath is going in and out. You do not change the rate and the rhythm of the breath, and you are feeling the sensation of the breath. I made it so simple. Three-pointed awareness. Three-pointed awareness is knowledge. It is your experience. Now what should I do with the other thought? Do not participate. When you do not participate, you weaken the impact of the thoughts and feeling and the impressions of the lane number 1. That is the only way. You cannot control, you cannot suppress. If you suppress, if you complain, you are giving a fuel to fire to the fuel. Fuel to the fire. My mind still gets carried away. So let us engage your mind in one deeper way. You are already looking at the breath going in and out, feeling the sensation of the breath, and do not change the rate and the rhythm of the breath. If you change the rate and rhythm of the breath, you know what happens? The lane number 1 does it. Even after listening. Why? Because we start participating. So the 4th point, the moment the breath goes in, count mentally in 1, breath comes out, out 1, in 2, out 2, in 3, out 3. Go on counting the breath. You are clear, you are consciously participating in counting the breath, even when the lane number 1 constantly brings in the thoughts and feeling and the past and impressions, and let it be there. Don't you see you keep on driving your car and other cars are also running on the highways? Your attention is always on driving your car. in a particularly. Go on counting the breath. So when you recognize that you forget the counting, it is because of the lane number 1. You may not recognize, but now we can recognize because I forgot the counting. When you forget the counting and your mind struggles that, oh, what was the number? Forget about the number. You restart the counting. It's not a competition. So that is how you do not participate in the lane number 1. You participate. You are fully aware, moving with the knowledge in the lane number 2. Now you stop the counting, and the next step is totally passive. You're just aware, you want to know. So you look at the head and the neck and experience the sensation, relaxation, and stillness. I'm not asking your mind to do anything. What is that? Lane number 3. Again, I make it clear, amply clear, that all the 3 lanes are present on the mental highway. You participate in the lane number 2, you are full of suffering. Participate in the lane number 2 is what the teaching. Lane number 3 is the result. Look at the right arm. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Look at the left arm. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Chest in the belly. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Right leg. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Left leg. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. So when you experience in the lane number 3, that weakens the lane number 1. That is the process of meditation or mindfulness. We weaken with rich and deeper experience of the calmness and peace. You cannot struggle with the mind. Once you're 100% clear about this, the progress is faster. Do nothing, remain as you are. In the state of doing nothing, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand. Now you see that is the knowledge. Your mind goes there. You don't move at this time. I simply said move your mind on the left hand. Be aware means you know. Now you do some physical action. Lift your both the palms. Place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Don't leave anything blindly. Ask yourself what happened. What were the problems and the challenges? Why? That is how we share our experiences. And bring the hands down. First move both your palms on your eyes. Then open the eyes inside. Then know your experiences. Then bring the hands down. We will share our experiences now. Yes, Sophie, how are you?
I am good, Girish. I have a question.
Yes.
So, when you give the instruction, we listen to something that is outside, right?
But it goes inside your mind also.
Yes.
That's how you understand.
When we do the counting this time, it doesn't happen each time. The sound was very loud, and I couldn't get my mind to stay with the counting. I always was going to this loud sound.
Yes, it is again. Lane number 1. So we keep on counting. We miss it, we keep on doing it. We persist patiently. And what happens gradually, the lane number 1, you are not participating with it, and you move to the lane number 2, and at present the result is calmness and relaxation. We need not to fight. It is the same mind. How can I fight my right hand with the left hand? Who will win? So that level of awareness should be there. I think I'm making, yes, you can ask those questions. So how are you, John?
Hey Girish, I'm fine. Fairly carefree.
Wonderful. That's good. That's good. Carefree means carefree from the lane number 1. And result is natural. We need not to ask. You're already definitely calm and relaxed. So I told you that we should always be aware that right hand cannot fight with the left hand. No one wins. No, I can make my right hand win. That is what is happening. You are making the lane number 1 win. Meditation, mindfulness is not the fighting and who wins and who wrestles. So how are you, Anne?
I feel fine, but I tried to find sleep for some reason. I don't know why. I think I just was tired. There was the last few weeks. There was something going on which was stressful, and I think that's
Yeah.
it was a kind of reaction to it.
Yes.
Could be. Wait.
No, it's okay.
I feel fine. Yeah.
You sleep, you relax, but I said only okay part. So now let us understand little deeper that when there are put up hormones, dopamine,
Right.
if we give little more, even if you are too much tired, you won't get to sleep, but you will be relaxed. So many scientists so-called believe and suggested in their research studies when you are actually in the mindfulness state, means that you move from the lane number 2 to lane number 3. Many hormones are released, and that fatigue is replaced into a relaxation, and then you don't need to fall into sleep. That comes later. It comes definitely. How are you, Mead?
Driving in lane number 2.
Good?
I feel much more present and more with myself.
Much more with yourself. That is what we need to do in everyday life, in every situation, in every relationship. And when we do that in every relationship, that is a very rough meaning of living in mindfulness. Or we can say living, you might have heard, we Americans use it even without understanding, or just living in a moment. So when people say me and I ask them that, oh, you had a lot of stress? Yes, I have a lot of stress. So are you living in a moment? Then they get more confused. So knowledge, Eastern wisdom is nothing but the knowledge that brings the clarity, that dissolves the confusion. And when the confusion is gone, the delusion is gone, the clarity is there. What kind of clarity? I gave you one clarity. Are you sitting at your home? You say yes. There is 100% clarity. So do you know your real self? Yes. You have 100% clarity. You are living in a moment. You are in a state of meditation. Do you agree, John? John agrees, then everyone should agree. That's really good. Thank you. Thank you. So, in the new year, we started the journey to understand the mind, and I compared the mind with the 3 lanes of the highways. The lane number 1, where we get the unwanted, unwelcome thoughts all the time. The moment you wake up in the morning until we sleep. Dream is a different state and sleep is a different state. So we are only talking about the waking state. And the lane number 2, where we receive the knowledge or where we can put the knowledge. So the same mind becomes an intellect. You are listening to me, and so one part of the mind uses these sentences to understand So obviously that receiving the knowledge. And that happens all the time. I'm going to the restroom, I'm going to the kitchen, I'm going to eat something, now I'm going to sleep. This is all knowledge. After the knowledge, we take an action. And when the knowledge is fully realized, if it is right, everything is good in life. So these three lanes constantly are in, you can say interact, they are interrelated, and they are also independent. Lane is also independent and they are interconnected. Example, you are listening to me and still you have unwanted thoughts in your mind. So if I'm not aware of the lane number 1, so what happens? The lane number 1 carries with it the past impressions, lot of dualities, likes and dislikes and confusion. It passes on to the lane number 2, and the intellect says, yes, you are right. And the moment you say you are right, you are already in a delusion. One example, fire station irritates John. That is lane number 1. So when I spoke about it, the lane number 1 of the John recalled that craziness of the mind. And it is ready to become crazy. Provided the lane number 2 says it has nothing to do with me. And it all matters with awareness. That I am aware, I do not allow the knowledge to be overpowered by the lane number 1. And if that happens, we start working on the mind. We start working on the mind, my friends. And that is why I asked you a question and you all started laughing. Who sends you the email, SMS to be angry and upset when they meet you? Can I live in that awareness all the time? I'm living in the lane number 2 all the time. Let lane number 1 has millions of unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. It's not going to disturb you at all. You are free from today. Are you getting it? Say yes. For that, we have to undertake a journey. And that is why Buddha said, we discussed about it, that is why the Buddha said, don't believe me. Don't listen to the people who says, believe me. Unless you do the self-inquiry, and the self-inquiry will be done by the lane number 2. The moment anyone says to me that that guy is crazy, I look at the person and feel that if I go opposite, he will be offended. I keep quiet, but I tell my mind, no, this is his opinion, not mine. Why should I agree with him? Why? What is the reason? But if the lane number 1 has created the habit of blaming and complaining, I will accept immediately. I will believe it. And that makes us crazy in our life. And that creates a lot of conflict and confusion. We lose our awareness. We get impulsive. We get emotional. We get irritated. Don't blindly believe what I say. Normally, oh, well, who is Buddha? Oh, Buddha was a great master, enlightened. He left everything. He was a great prince. No, we have to understand this part, what he said. Don't believe what I say. Don't believe me because others convince you of my words. Don't believe anything that you see, read, or hear, whether of authority, religious teachers, or the text, unless you do the self inquiry. So, I have told many a times, Eastern wisdom says, belief pending inquiry. Whether you follow, I have a lot of stress, pending inquiry. So we leave the other pending inquiry, we leave it. No, why don't you understand? I have a lot of stress because of my honey. Yeah, honey is responsible for your stress. So why you got married? At those were the different days. Couple of years back, we were soulmate. Oh, who told you? Mind one, lane number one. And now the same lane number one says you that now he makes me crazy or she makes me crazy. So we have lost awareness. We are living in ignorance. How can we live a happy life? Think. So we follow the same approach when the Buddha says, no, belief pending inquiry is very important. So what we say, that peace is your essential nature pending inquiry. Until you reach there, realize that peace, continue inquiry. So in that sense, the entire journey of the Eastern wisdom has nothing to do with religion, cult, dogma, belief. It has nothing to do. Are you ready? If you are ready for an inquiry, you are a seeker. Otherwise, what will happen? You will continue to listen to this beer guy. He seems to be a good guy, so he doesn't attack anyone, so let him continue to listen. Nothing will happen unless you do the inquiry. You are hungry, you have to eat food. You cannot force me to eat food to meet your hunger. You have to go to restroom by yourself. You cannot force me. No, you do this work and so that I'll be free. I will empty the blood. You have to sleep yourself. You have to eat your food. Same way, you have to make an inquiry. So what I remember an interesting... did I tell you about baby monkey and... Did I talk about it? Baby monkey and baby cat? So you see, on those days, more than 3,000 years back, they have to give some example, a metaphor. So they said, you have to work like a baby monkey. You have not to remain lazy, sleeping like a baby cat. What the baby mother does? Baby mother catches on the neck of the baby cat and moves from one place to the other. So the baby cat remains lazy. No inquiry. You see, the examples are so beautiful. But the baby monkey keeps on holding the back of the mom. Otherwise, he will not learn anything. He will not move from one place to the other. He is ignorant. So he keeps on holding the back of the monkey mother until he starts learning the art of living. That is the job of a seeker. Now, I'm not saying you have to keep holding me, I'll be upset. So that you have to hold the knowledge part. That is the message. Well, those masters were... So we have understood that. So self-inquiry based on many factors. I am in search of the truth and the real self, or you can say the peace and happiness, which every master claims is your essential nature. So that truth cannot be falsified It cannot be destroyed. It is independent of any master, any teacher, any book, any time, any location. So it means it is present in all the locations. It is present in all the situations. Lane number 1 overpowers, I forget it. How simple is the journey? How simple is it? So because the mind is not able to realize this fact, and that is why we have a master and a disciple tradition. That is why the teacher has to speak differently based on the group, based on the temperament. So truth is existence, means peace is existence, love is existence. That is existence. So what it means? I do not love anybody because the love manifests through me. I am not in peace, I am peace. I am not in happiness, I am happiness. If you make the sugar to speak, what is your nature? Sweetness of a sugar, sweetness. Same way, what is our nature? The nature of our real self is nothing but the peace and happiness. So now, did you prick your intellect? What did you say? The peace is your essential nature. So what is non-essential nature? Stress and suffering. I told you, belief pending inquiry. I have not to believe. I have to go for after it. I have to inquire. So I stop inquiry. You told me peace is your essential nature and I'm living in stress. So I told you, did you inquire? Did you contemplate? Did you reflect on it? When you don't reflect on it, baby monkey, not baby cat. Baby monkey makes you a seeker, baby cat, non-seeker. So that is the answer. Who can discover this permanent peace and happiness in the life? So what is an obstacle? Be logical. You ask question. Intellect means, let me ask the questions to my mind. Also, I agree with you. But question is that when peace and happiness are my essential nature, you told me it is my essential nature, so I should not have been in stress. I should not grieve. I should not be in pain. My experience contradicts what you say. Do you agree? Say yes. Don't open the wounds, we all have been suffering since ages. One suffers from even the fire station that is inert. My friend, what to say about others? Do you see that? So here the master says it is because the mind is impure. No, but what it has to do with impurity when peace and happiness are my essential nature? So our master says there is a real self. The impure mind is superimposed over the real self. And that, what is that impure mind? All the crazy stuff, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts, idea of blaming and complaining others, and the grief and claiming that I am worthy of suffering, all these thoughts and wrong notions keeps covering, veiling the real self. So I have to make the mind impure. We need the purity of the mind. How do you prove it? Do you have a desire? Do you have an attachment? Do you have a delusion? do you get upset? Same question, bring the same question again. Who told you, who sent you an email or SMS and called you that when I meet you, you get upset over me? You react against me. You become angry over me. Who said? Now I become. So who is this I? That is what the impure mind is. I'm explaining in a logical fashion. Every step. So that once you have an understanding in the lane number 2, the lane number 1 is not going to overpower you. So that is the impure mind. So this mind, the impure mind, wails over the real self. We all are essentially one pure consciousness. Here we are 6 people, you are saying we all are one consciousness. So there is a confusion in the mind, and confusion is the result of the impurity of the mind. So we have to, once we purify the mind, but how to purify the mind now? So go on asking, that is the way all the texts of the Eastern wisdom were written. But in those days, the people have, today also, people have different level of awareness, different level of understanding. I don't want to go into IQ. So different level of awareness, different ways of understanding. So every master has taught differently the same principle. Some people talked about the God, some people talked about the do's and don'ts. And the highest teaching is to follow the intellect, do the inquiry. It is the highest journey in the Eastern wisdom. Are you ready for a self-inquiry? Then you have to be a seeker. You have to be a seeker. So before I pick up this topic of who is a qualified seeker, in one way we all are qualified seekers, but we are not aware of what we should be doing in our life. I made 2 opposite statements and understand it. That and tell me. Example, I'm going to kitchen to have a cup of tea. This sentence contains a knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of the object. What is the object? First object is the kitchen and second is the tea. Clear? In that sentence, second factor is the I. I, cup in the kitchen, 2 factors. And third is the result. I have a desire to drink the cup of tea, so I will take a cup of tea. So since morning when we wake up, my friends, we follow the same knowledge all the time. You wake up in the morning, non-verbally, you know you are going to the restroom, you are going to take a shower. I take a shower around 5 a.m. I don't know about you. You all are beautiful, so you need not to take shower. so you see that every statement, every thought is a product of knowledge, and every thought contains these 3 factors: subject, object, and the knowledge. Subject, object, and the result. Think in this way. Going to the restroom, I know the result. Going to the kitchen, I know the result. I'm going to the bedroom, I know the result. I'm sitting before the computer, I know. It's an automatic. It's an automatic. Are you getting it? So the mind automatically connects subject I with the kitchen object and the result. I can get a tea in the kitchen, not in the restroom, nor in the bedroom. Every step, every sentence contains the three. So, and the mind automatically connects. Connect I with the kitchen. So I have to go there. I with the tea. I will relieve myself. A stimulant. What are these three factors in becoming a seeker? If you are clear, half the journey is done. So I am capable. I know I have an ability. I'm qualified to walk to the kitchen. And second factor, that I know what the kitchen looks like. I know the different objects in the kitchen. I know where the tea leaves are lying. Clear? So in order to be a seeker, I have to become a qualified seeker. Apply the same logic. So when a person is qualified seeker, here the qualification is that I should be able to know, like in the kitchen, where the tea leaves, where is the coffee. Same way, what is real and what is false. I must know. If I don't know, how can I undertake the journey? Second factor is the subject matter. What is the subject matter? Subject matter is who am I? What is real self? What is false self? What is matter? What is consciousness? What is mind? What is intellect? How the mind makes me, what the impure mind is, what the pure mind is. So unless I have a clarity, I can use the same knowledge at every moment in my life to start the journey. Subject matter, who am I? What is the world outside? And what is the nature of the world? Does any situation outside, or a person outside, or a time outside, or a condition outside is responsible for my suffering or not? I must be 100% clear. If there is no clarity, it means there is a confusion. If there is a confusion, I have a wrong notion. So if I have a wrong notion, that causes the mind impure. And we continue to live our life with that impurity, which contains the anxiety, confusion, grief, duality, conflict. So called after we become mature, we live with these things and we die with these things. We are taking a serious topic. Not so serious, but understanding is required. I never think I have been upset over so many people. Let me understand what is this being upset, so that I can get rid of it. I never. Every time in another group, there's another third group. Today, last week I got very upset. How many times you have been upset for the last 20 years? I don't want to think. Why I don't want to think? Because I live with the wrong notion. What is wrong notion? The world makes me upset. Are you getting it? So if I do not understand, the world is not at all responsible for making me upset, anxious reaction. I told you. Who sent you the email? But you say you are right, you look weird, old guy, so that's why I'm listening to you, but I'm not going to change my thought process. Don't change. Live in stress. So that is the subject matter. But we also must know the result. So these three factors, as a person, I should be a qualified seeker. The second is the subject matter. To which subject I should be qualified? I must know who am I, where is the nature of the world, what is the existence, and I must know the result before I undertake the journey. So our master says, it will bring an end to the suffering once and for all. You are aware of the suffering because you have been suffering. That's why you are attending the session. So the mind keeps that result line. First is this, an awakening to permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom. So we have three factors. I, qualified seeker. Second factor is the subject matter. Third is the result. So when I remember the result, recall the result, it motivates my mind. Does it motivate you? Or you simply say, this weird guys keep on talking, It doesn't make a sense, but still I like, that's why I'm attending this session. Or does it really inspires you? I have to keep my focus, how it can bring an end to the suffering. So I is connected to the result. The way I'm going to take a cup of tea, so definitely you are going to the kitchen, I is connected to the result also. We don't connect it, so that's why we have a problem. Then connect I with the subject matter. What I'm thinking about myself at this moment and the way I have been thinking over the years has resulted in a lot of conflict and confusion in my relationship, at home, in my professional life, in my social life. The way my mind keeps on thinking have kept the wrong notions which causes a lot of suffering. So I must make it clear. So the second connection, I with the subject matter. And the third connection, the subject matter with the result. We connect. We have these three factors and the three connections all the time. Then only we get the result of a thought. I'm going to the kitchen to have a cup of tea. So the entire process, you go prepare a cup of tea and drink tea and thought is gone. No wandering. Your mind is not wandering, I have to take a cup of tea or I do not need to take a cup of tea. Going to the restroom, thought is finished. You empty the bladder. Same way. So what the master is saying that can I educate my mind to follow the same thought process that we have been doing in other activities. Unless we clearly understand these three factors with the three connections. So all the four things are known as the four connections in the Eastern wisdom. Eastern wisdom never begins clearly without clarity. If you do not follow these four connections. I thought in the new year I should start from the very beginning so that your mind will pick up if you do not. Initially, I left those things. Because people are, which say I want an instant result. So instant result is not there in the journey of the life. So this is. So let us start our practice today. We will continue with the four connections in our next lesson. Eyes are closed. Make a comfortable position of the body. And so when I say, every sentence has all these factors. Make the position of the body comfortable, you see a complete. So you experience, are you comfortable with the position of the body, or within a minute you want to move the position of the body and continue doing so then in the entire practice. You're not doing it clearly. No, but you are not explaining. I have already explained. You have to follow the journey like a baby monkey. You are holding on to the knowledge inside your head. Eyes are closed gently, and then I say, move the mind on the neck joint. Understand? So, moving the mind is already on the neck joint. You simply become aware the moment I say it. And there you experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. You slip from the physical matter. What is the physical matter? The neck joint. To a mental experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. So, what happens? You are moving the mind within by being comfortable. So, don't bring in any scientific principles, they do not work. They will talk of the physiological comfort, biochemical comfort, and they will try to make your mind run outside. We are moving the mind inside. The science cannot come here. Move the mind on the shoulder joints, be there. Feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Sensation, normal. Comfort, yes. Steadiness, yes. Move the mind on the hip joint, be there. Feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. This is what we are doing. We are trying to check the mind. That mind, are you moving to the lane number 2 or you still remain in the lane number 1? And your mind hears, listens to the instructions, 100% translates into an experience, and you are comfortable. That is the power of the knowledge. And now, as we understand, lane number 1 has unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. They come and they go. Sometimes they stay, sometimes they push you. You are not doing anything. Why you are in lane number 2? Where is the lane number 2? Intellect. You know, you are aware that unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are coming. The way you are aware, driving on the highways in a particular lane, you know. The others are also driving on different lanes. They do not disturb you. How should it disturb you? Unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are in the lane number 1 of the mind. They should not. Let any crazy thought come, let any good thought come. One guy told me, because he's a great businessman, a millionaire, he has been my client, and he said, if I get a good idea about the business, should I keep on thinking? No, it is unwanted. When you are practicing meditation, it will result into attachment. You will never be able to succeed. So whether the good and the bad thoughts. So what happens when the lane number 1 and the 2 are clearly understood? Then the lane number 3 is the result, a realization that how easy it is to be comfortable and carefree, not only in the meditation journey, but all the time. Why it does not happen? You bring the emotional baggage, meeting a person from the lane number 1, you are not able to differentiate, you talk to them and you are upset and get into anxiety. So we have many tools. One of them I told you is the replace the thought, which is the mantra. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. So lane number 2 is saying, let everyone be happy. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. You should remember it by heart and you should be repeating during the day as many times as possible. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Let everyone be happy. Lane number 1, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts, they are continuing. You are not participating there. Lane number 2, you are not replacing, you are just creating another thought process. Let everyone be happy. Everyone be happy, why? Because we want to continuously stay in the lane number 2. We are taking a silent action over the lane number 1. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve santu niramaya. Let everyone be in the state of well-being. When everyone is in the state of the well-being, even if you get upset, but the other is in the state of the well-being, what is going to happen? But if you are in the state of the well-being, then what happens? Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. It means everyone should be blessed. Why? The way I am a part of the entire existence, the same way others are also the part of the same existence. So the greatest factor, common factor, is that we both are the part of the existence. I have no birthright to react and to blame and complain anyone. You see that? So that thought contains the knowledge of the existence, common existence. We breathe the same air. We live on the same earth planet. We live with the same factors of the food that consist of the body. We have the same blood. No, but there is a problem. We will solve the problem. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhaved. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhaved. None should suffer from misery in the world. Why we say those? Lane number 2 should realize that these miseries caused by the ignorance. Let us go for a practice. An active practice appears to bring the result very fast, but they do not stay for long. But even that is good in learning process. So you are looking inside the forehead and you start breathing quick and short from both the nostrils into the chest. There should be an expansion and contraction of the chest. Just continue. Even the mind objects. Which mind objects? Lane number 1. You persist. You maintain that. No, I'm going to do it. and stop it. How many times the mind created an resistance to stop the breathing is nothing but the impurity of the mind. One way to understand. But now you start inhaling deep, silent and slow. Inhalation should be completely silent. Belly into the rib cage up to the throat. But while breathing out, lips remain together. You're breathing out from the nostril and make the humming sound louder, deeper, long. So the next breath again you take the next breath deep, silent and slow. Pay attention. Inhalation is totally deep, silent and slow. So you are able to maintain your awareness of the lane 2. That is, if I use the word, that is the trick to keep the mind on the lane number 2 all the time. And while doing the humming sound, you are dissolving the lane number 1. You're not at all concerned, not participating. If you are practicing with understanding, clarity, that is what we practice. If I say you are going to the kitchen to prepare a cup of tea, basically you are practicing. Action means the practice. But you have a clarity of understanding. Where the tea leaves are there, where the gas stove is there, where the bowl is there. Same way. I hope you are doing this practice this week. What is going to happen? You will recognize that the rate of your breath per minute drops down from 18-20 breaths to only 6 or 7 breaths a minute. And that is a great achievement to become a qualified seeker. I'll tell you how. Do nothing, become aware of the natural breath that is going in and out. So you see, first point of awareness, sensation, relaxation and stillness is in the body. You may have a new experiences in and around the head, a kind of self-absorption. Good, very good. And now in that state, you are looking at the breath. Means what you know the breath is going in and out. You do not change it. Good. And now when the breath goes in, just drop like a drop of water. Om Shanti mentally, non-verbally. When the breath returns, Om Shanti, with a knowledge. What is the knowledge? Om is the real self. Shanti is the peace. So the mind continues to live in the lane number 2. It does not participate at all of what is happening in the lane number 1. The mind jumps to the lane number 3. It results into an experience that you normally share with me. Everything is clear. Continue. And do nothing, remain as you are in the state of doing nothing. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You see, I speak 3 times, and Shanti is also spoken 3 times. Why? There are 3 types of this suffering. We bring an end to the 3 kinds of suffering, a reminder. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om means realization of that true nature brings an end to the 3 types of this suffering. That is why we don't speak about the suffering. We say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. How are you, Charlie?
Hello, I'm good. My
My
mind on track number 1 was very busy today. But when I focused on track number 2, I could feel myself coming in and then going out again, and then coming in and then going out. And at the end of the meditation, I felt more like an observer.
Yes, you have to answer the question, everyone, that why I am attracted to the lane number 1. That has become our nature, our attitude, our behavior. And that is why I just gave this metaphor that every time the lane number 1 is busy, let me switch on to the lane number 2. Even during the day, when the mind is working inside you, in the kitchen, in the bedroom, the restroom, in the living room, everywhere, with people, with relations, that causes more problem. So I hope everyone will be working. How are you, Sophie?
Hello, I feel good. I think my mind wants to block out every sound from the outside.
Okay. Lane number 1.
What?
Lane number 1.
Yeah, those number 1 know nothing. Yeah. But I was not, it was blocking also listening to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was blocking my instructions also?
Yeah, in the first part. But then when we start, working on the breath, then, no, even the mantra, that was, yeah.
So what is the understanding that when I say all the 3 lanes are independent and interconnected? So we are not participating with the lane number 1. It says block it, I say thank you. I follow the instructions. So sometime due to the past impression, it triggers, it creates a thought process, and then it struggles, then it reacts. So if we dissolve that reaction, how to dissolve? I'm not participating. So that will take you deeper, but in the end you were calm and relaxed. So how are you, John?
Hey, Girish, I'm fine. I find it difficult with the humming sound. Being able to hold the humming sound for more than 2 or 3 seconds.
Not holding.
That's right.
You're not holding it. Just take a deep breath. Check that you are breathing into the belly, then into the rib cage, and now without stopping, start the humming sound. So what is happening? Again, the lane number 1 comes silently. It creates a pattern. No, I have to hold the breath. No, you have not to hold the breath. So you see, very small fractional thoughts, they enter into the mind, they change the direction. That is what the wrong notion, that is what we discussed today. So the knowledge has to be clearly absorbed, means lane number 2. And even if the lane number 2, I cannot do it, let me continue. So that overrules the subtle process, but not very deep. But in the end, you were relaxed?
Yeah.
Good. How are you? And I unmuted. I can unmute, but I cannot. No, I can mute, but I cannot unmute.
Okay. Here we go.
Yes, I felt I became very, very quiet.
Very quiet.
It's So why that you block out? I think from time to time I block out your speech.
Yeah,
But
that is okay. Now understand the same process with reference to this metaphor of lane number 1, 2. Lane number 2 is realized, you have understood it, you are jumping into the lane number 3. But the lane number 3 still have the past impressions. It still triggers the thoughts, but you are too far. It doesn't disturb you. You don't own them. And that is the result of the quietness. Quietness does not mean that you don't feel any sensation, you don't feel any sound. So my mouse also doesn't feel any sound. So what is the difference between me as a human being and the mouse? Does the mouse listen to any sound? Does the mouse feel any sensation? I'm a conscious being. I'm talking to everyone. Did you understand that point? Sometimes you are in a mob, and what happens? You are in a mall, but your mind is so much stressed that you feel in a mob, in a mall also with thousands of the people, you are still alone. But that is the case of the stress. Here it is the case of quietness, consciously achieved, however you meet.
I feel peace.
You feel peace,
It's
very good.
peaceful. I feel kind of relieved of something.
Very good. Yeah,
Ah.
relieved of the lane number 1. They will continue until we completely transform the mind. But we have found the way that we are not participating. I'm driving always in the lane number 2. The lane number 1 says I should get upset over a person. So I ask, did you get a message that you should be upset? That is an understanding. That is a knowledge. And we do mostly with our near and dear ones. That is all for today. Thank you very much. We'll meet again. I'm going to send you this file. I have one more session.